Okay, so over into DoubleCAD now, and we just go up to File, Open, and where it says Files of Type, make sure that is set to SKP, SketchUp file format, and then we open our SketchUp file. Just hit yes when it asks if you want to open a read-only, and you'll see that's got all of our blocks in there in 3D. Now the navigation in DoubleCAD's a bit different to SketchUp in that pressing the mouse wheel down and dragging pans, and holding shift and the mouse wheel down orbits. That's the opposite to the setup in SketchUp, so it might take a bit of getting used to switching back and forth between the programs. Now it's put us straight into a wireframe view. I'm going to switch over into a hidden line view to make it a bit easier to see what we're looking at. So under View, go View Styles and then Hidden Line. Now you can see it's added a few funky diagonal edges through there. I'm not sure why SketchUp adds those, it just doesn't deal with some of the L-shaped faces very well. So if anyone knows why that happens, feel free to drop me a line on our website. We can live with that for now, so we'll just move on. What I'm going to do now is make sure my units in DoubleCAD are set up to be metric. For some reason DoubleCAD doesn't seem to pull it through the settings from SketchUp, so to fix that I'm going to right click on the model space tab down here and go properties. Just tick metric there and you'll see it changes it all to millimeters. Hit OK. Do the same for paper space, properties, metric. I'm also going to change the text units to millimeters, and while I'm in here I'm going to change the page setup to be A3. Now we'll probably fit about 3 blocks on an A3, so we'll have 2 sheets. So I'll just set up one of these to be A3, make sure they're both landscape, hit OK, and we've got our A3 sheet there. I'm going to right click on this layout tab and hit duplicate. Now go back into model space. What we're going to do next is set up these blocks to have the correct line weight when they're set up in paper space. Now I've gone through for each of these blocks and set the line weight to be 0.35, so I can close this blocks palette because we won't need that anymore, and I'll open up the layers palette, and you can see that DoubleCAD's brought through each of the layers that we set up in SketchUp, which is handy because now we can turn off each of these blocks individually by simply using the layer control. So this will make it very easy to set up our views. On the paper space for each block I'm going to want to have one isometric view for each block, one plan view, one front view and one back view. So I'll show you how to set those up now. Now setting up these views is a simple process, but it's relatively repetitive, so I'll set up a couple and then skip ahead to save you a bit of time. So to start with I'm going to set up my isometric views, so I'll turn off all of these layers for block 1, go up to View, 3D View, and I'm going to click on Northeast Isometric. So that's given us a good view. Now I'm going to go View, Named Views, Create View. I'm going to drag a box around that and call it B1 ISO. Now I already had a B1 ISO in this project, so I'm just going to overwrite that one. And I'm going to repeat that process for block 2 by just turning off the block 1 layer and turning on the block 2 layer. Right click, go Repeat Create View. Same thing again, B2 ISO. And repeat again for block 3. Right click, Repeat View, B3 ISO. So I'm going to do that for the rest of them, and I'll skip ahead. Okay, so all of our isometric views are set up. Now I'm going to move on to setting up our top views, our front views, and our back views. With our top views, we can save ourselves a bit of work and actually group 3 blocks into one view. So I'll show you how to do that. We can close the layer palette because we're not going to be using that anymore. And then 3D views, switch to top view. Now you can see these are all lined up vertically. That's not how I want to set them out on my sheet. I want them to be horizontal on my sheet. So a good way to rotate the camera is to hold down shift, and then I'm going to tap the right arrow key, which will rotate in increments to get these to 90 degrees. So my first view I'm going to create a named view around the first 3 here, and I'll call that B1 to 3 top. Hit OK. Right click and go Repeat Create View. Select the next 3, so this is going to be B4 to 6 top. With our front view, Because we saw when we switched to this top view, they were all lined up vertically. If I switch to a front view under here, what you'll see is that it actually looks in this direction. So it looks up the page. So if I hit front view, this view isn't much use to us. So the view we actually want is a right view. So 3D view right, and that gives us our front view for our blocks. So I'm going to set these blocks up with individual views. So using view, name view, create view, I'm going to drag a box around each one and call it B1 front. So I'm going to go through and do this for the front and the back views. I'll skip this ahead to just save you a bit of time. So I've set up all my front views. I'm going to start setting up my back views now. So I'm going to go 3D view and left. Now because we're looking from the back, our blocks have actually reversed in order. So the one on the right is now our block 1. So I'm going to start from this side and work back. Again, I'll do a couple and then skip ahead for you. So view, name view, create view, B1, back, right click, repeat, B2, back, and now I'll skip ahead. Okay, so I've finished setting up those back views. So now we've got an isometric view for each block, a top view with 3 blocks in each view, and a front and back view for each block set up. Now we can move over into Paperspace and put those in the sheets. Okay, so we'll jump over into Paperspace and set up those views we've created on our sheets. So click on the Layout tab. Now the first view I want to put down is my block 1 isometric view. So I'm going to go up to View menu, Viewport, Viewport, drag a box, and click on B1 ISO, click Go To, then click Close. Now you can see this isn't exactly what we want because it's in a wireframe view and we can see part of block 2. So I'm going to click on this viewport, go to Modify Properties. Under Viewport, I'm going to turn off all the layers except for block 1. I'm going to set the scale fixed at 1:1. This is so our blocks actually print out a full size on the sheet. I'm going to set the rendering to hidden line and tick the box that says Set Custom Hidden Line Style. Hit Edit Style. Make sure your hidden line type selected, and I've set my dash to 0.2 and my line width to 0.18 millimeters. Click OK on that, and you'll see that's looking pretty good. Now viewport's a bit too big, so I'm going to show you how to reduce that quickly. So I click on the rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a rectangle nice and tight around our view. Go up to View, Viewports, Update Viewport Boundary. Now it says click on the viewport, so I'm going to click on this viewport and then click on my new boundary object. So I click on that rectangle and you can see that shrunk that right down. So that's an easy way to adjust the size of a viewport if you need to clip something out. So we'll repeat that for the other isometric views. So a handy keyboard shortcut to type into the command toolbar down here is MV and enter. And now I can drag another viewport. This one's going to be block 2 ISO. And I'll just repeat that process for the layers. So I'll turn off everything to the block 2 layer. Set my scale to fixed, hidden line, and hit OK. Now I'm going to repeat that again, MV in command line. Oops, I typed into the wrong box. MV, enter. Draw my box. Now this is going to be block 3 ISO. Just quickly run through that same process. Turn off all these layers with block 3. And hit OK. Now I'm just going to line these up really quickly on the sheet and then we'll get on to our other views for these first 3 blocks. Okay, so I've just lined these isometric views up along the top of my sheet. Now I chuck in my top views for each of these blocks. I'm going to go up to View, Viewport, Viewport, drag a box, and I want this to be B1 to 3 top. Click Go To. Okay, so I'm just going to click on this viewport, modify the properties, make sure this is set right. Hidden line, I want to be set to custom style. Viewport scale is correct, and the layers are correct. I'm going to click OK. Now I sort of want these isometric views lined up a bit better over the top, so I'm actually going to set up some construction lines. Just snap these to the corners, and we'll use these lines to line up our front and back views later on as well. So I'm just going to shift this view over a bit, so this left edge lines up with that left corner. Again with this one, so I can just snap to the shape in the viewport and then snap to my construction line. So that's lined up pretty nicely. So now we'll put the front views on the sheet. So I'm going to type into the command line MV, and then I'm going to drag a box, and this is going to be just B1 front. So now I'm just going to trim this viewport down around this block 1, so using our update viewport boundary, and then I'm going to use the move tool just to line this viewport up underneath my top view, and I can repeat this now for the other views. So view, viewport, and move this one underneath the next view. And just resize that viewport boundary. One more view to do, which is block 3. And I'm also going to draw now a construction line horizontally across these, so I can line the tops of these blocks up. So if I click and hold, I'll get the horizontal construction line, snap to the top of my block 1. Then if I zoom in a bit, I can select the viewport, and using that top corner, snap it up to this construction line. And I'll repeat this again, snap up to there. So I'm going to repeat that process again for the back views. I'll skip ahead and then we'll get on to labeling these views.